I'm going to talk today about the importance of balance in your website. And when we think about a website having balance, what we're really looking at are the 4 key components that comprise any website. Those 4 things are critical to how your site works overall. The first of those 4 is its design. And when we think about your website's design, we're literally thinking about what you see, what somebody sees when they visit it, what they see on the screen, the use of colour, the overall layout, the usability of your site. The second element is its content. And when we think of the site's content, it's very much about how well things are written, are there spelling mistakes and grammatical errors that really should be sorted? Does it read well? Is the reading age correct? Is the tone of voice appropriate for the people that your site is aimed at? The third part is its technology, and really that's just to say behind the scenes there's a whole load of stuff making your website work. And the fourth element is its marketing. And when we think about your website's marketing, primarily what we're focusing on is the number of visitors your site gets. Perhaps more importantly, the type of visitors, so who exactly are these people visiting your site, and what they do when they're on your site. Visitors alone is not much good to you. You want these folks to be perhaps following some specific call to action, or achieving something very particular when they're there, something that's meaningful and is a good outcome for you as the website owner. So those 4 elements are important, and they're relevant to any website, yours, ours, any website there is. There's always a difference in emphasis. If you were running a funeral directors or an accountant or some sort of business like that, the emphasis perhaps would be less on the site's design and more on its content. If you were running a business which organised children's parties, the design would be that much more important, and of course the design would be completely different because it's a different sort of business. But nonetheless, all websites still are made up of these 4 elements. The key thing to understand, the most critical bit, is that your website overall is as good as the weakest of those 4 things. And if you think it through, it makes perfect sense. So if we just assume for a minute that the design of your site is its weakest bit, people are not going to visit your site, see that it looks terrible, but forgive you for that because it's very up to date, or everything is spelt correctly, or everything works, or you're top of Google. People will see your site as being poor, and that in turn is a reflection on your business. They will assume your business is also poor, simply because one of those 4 elements has let you down. It doesn't have to be the design, it could be any of these things. The design might be perfect, but if the content then is weak, so very badly written, lots of spelling mistakes and so forth, people will come to the same conclusion just for different reasons. And you can go around any of these 4 elements, and if you just in turn make each one the weakest bit, you can't escape the fact that overall that's dragged down the quality of your website. And perhaps as importantly, what you can't do is be really good in some of the other areas to compensate. So you can't have it look poor, you can't have a weak design, but everything else be completely fantastic and expect that it sort of averages out. It's not how it works. Your site is as good as the weakest of those 4 elements. So if you're at a point thinking about, we might need a new website or we want to make changes to our current site, a good starting point is to think of it from these 4 different angles and consider where you feel currently you're weakest. Where do you need that most improvement? What's most important to your target audience? Is an amazing design going to make a lot of difference, or is it really not so relevant for your target audience? You focus on the weakest of your 4 parts and make that better, and just introduce that as almost a process of continual improvement. Your website will get better all the time.